The deeply rhythmic, almost hypnotic physical motion of a domestic cat, purposefully pushing its front paws in and out against a notably soft, yielding surface, is undeniably one of the most universally recognized, frequently documented, and universally adored feline behavioral quirks observed by dedicated pet owners and animal behaviorists worldwide. Commonly referred to in widespread popular culture by the endearing colloquialism making biscuits, or simply scientifically designated as kneading, this incredibly charming physical action is fundamentally far more than just a quirky, meaningless habit or a random physiological tic, devoid of any profound psychological or evolutionary significance. Beneath the immediately charming and visually pleasing surface of this highly repetitive tactile activity lies a profoundly deep psychological imprint that is inextricably rooted in the absolute earliest, most formative biological stages of a newborn, completely vulnerable kitten's remarkably fragile early life. To truly and accurately comprehend the profound psychological depth and emotional significance of feline kneading behavior, one must first deliberately and carefully look back to the very absolute beginning of a domestic cat's earthly existence, specifically examining the highly sensitive, critical developmental period immediately following their biological parturition. When a fragile, blind, and deaf kitten is initially brought into the harsh world, it remains entirely and helplessly dependent on its attentive mother for its absolute physical survival, relying exclusively on her constant, robust presence for essential bodily warmth, physical protection against environmental threats, and vital nutritional sustenance. During the incredibly critical, life-sustaining daily nursing process, these tiny developing kittens instinctively learn to press their microscopic front paws rhythmically against the mother cat's soft, yielding mammary glands in a highly deliberate, repetitive, and carefully alternating mechanical sequence designed by evolutionary biology. This highly specific instinctual mechanical stimulation is fundamentally biologically essential for the continued survival of the entire vulnerable litter, as it directly and powerfully triggers the immediate physiological release of the crucial bonding hormone oxytocin deep within the mother's complex mammalian brain. The sudden influx of this powerful maternal hormone directly and efficiently facilitates the vital physiological letdown of nutrient-rich milk, physically enabling the mother to successfully feed her desperate offspring and ensuring their continued daily survival during their most vulnerable, completely dependent developmental phase. Therefore, right from the very absolute first days of their rapidly accelerating neurological and cognitive development, the physical, tactile act of alternating paw pressure becomes inextricably and permanently wired to the ultimate highest biological rewards of mammalian survival: a satisfyingly full belly, the encompassing protective warmth of the maternal body, and a state of absolute, undeniable physical safety. This intense, highly rewarding early life experience effectively and permanently creates a remarkably powerful, incredibly enduring classical conditioning response deeply embedded within the feline's developing cerebral cortex, forging a strong neurological pathway that stubbornly and consistently persists long after the rapidly growing kitten has been fully physically weaned and permanently separated from its mother. As modern, indoor-dwelling domestic cats gradually and safely transition into their biological adulthood, they unconsciously yet persistently carry this deeply ingrained, highly comforting behavioral association forward with them, visibly and frequently exhibiting what evolutionary ethologists and feline biologists formally refer to as neoteny, which is defined as the lifelong behavioral retention of juvenile infantile traits well into physical and sexual maturity. When a physically mature adult domestic cat purposefully and rhythmically kneads a soft, textured fleece blanket, a deeply plush velvet living room pillow, or the welcoming, warm lap of a deeply beloved, trusted human companion, they are essentially successfully accessing a powerful internal neurological time machine. This remarkable biological time machine instantly and effectively transports their current, present-day emotional state directly back across time to that primal, deeply comforting period of absolute maternal bliss, actively stimulating the immediate physiological release of positive mood-enhancing endorphins throughout the cat's complex brain chemistry. Extensive scientific behavioral studies strongly indicate that this repetitive, deeply ingrained physical action effectively lowers the feline's resting heart rate, significantly reduces the presence of stress-related cortisol levels flooding their bloodstream, and smoothly, predictably induces a profound state of deep, restorative physiological and psychological relaxation. This innate, highly effective self-soothing mechanism becomes particularly prominent, intensely focused, and frequently observed by caretakers when a slightly anxious or displaced cat is actively seeking to quickly establish a completely secure, highly comforting home base in its immediate, sometimes noisy or unfortunately unpredictable domestic living environment. Furthermore, the brilliant, highly specialized biological evolutionary design of feline physical anatomy adds yet another fascinating, largely invisible layer of behavioral complexity to this already intricate tactile behavior, specifically regarding the completely unseen, highly sophisticated realm of chemical and subtle olfactory territorial communication. All domesticated cats naturally possess highly specialized microscopic scent glands strategically and covertly located deep within the soft, highly pliable, sensitive tactile pads of their front paws, which discreetly release highly unique, individually specific invisible pheromones every single time they forcefully and deliberately press down on a receptive, soft surface. By rhythmically, persistently, and deliberately kneading a preferred, comfortable sleeping bed or a highly trusted human caretaker's warm lap, the intelligent cat is actively and purposefully depositing its own unique, personal chemical scent signature directly onto that specific physical object. This deliberate, invisible olfactory tagging works seamlessly and beautifully in perfect tandem with the physical, rocking tactile motion to carefully construct an impenetrable, multisensory emotional bubble of profound comfort, constantly reassuring the potentially anxious cat that they are currently resting safely in a fiercely protected, rightfully claimed domestic territory where absolutely no physical harm can possibly reach them. Ultimately, the beautiful, remarkable evolutionary persistence of this incredibly endearing, highly complex kneading behavior beautifully highlights the profound emotional depth and cognitive complexity of the domestic feline, definitively proving to observant caretakers that they are not merely aloof, calculating biological predators, but rather deeply sensitive, highly emotionally intelligent mammalian companions, heavily reliant on psychological continuity, sensory comfort, and a perpetual, deeply instinctual, lifelong search for absolute physical and emotional safety.